Alors, soyez la bienvenue aujourd'hui bon matin pour nos Topik conversation. Et aujourd'hui, moi, un artiste qui, pendant l'année 2023, a décidé pour lui mettre son école out there, par nous dit, exposer un petit peu son travail artistique. Et il y a une bonne artiste femme qui célébrait tout ça qui est joli avec bonne madame. So, aujourd'hui, bon matin, mon grand plaisir pour introduire avec Miss Kaela Eden. Kaela, bonjour, comment ça va?
Bonjour, I'm very good and you?
Pas trop mal pour aujourd'hui, bon matin. Justement, ici, le bonjour, c'est une nouvelle action. Première question pour demander, dites café, de l'eau, qui m'a Kaela commence la journée, Kaela commence la journée?
Coffee.
Café.
And it's got to be iced coffee.
Oui.
Specifically, it's got to be iced coffee. Gets me through the whole day.
Oui.
A little bit of sugar and a little bit of milk.
Et justement, Kaela, n'est grandi qui district?
Belom.
Belhomme. Ah bon? Mais c'est moi, on a un accent américain avec vous.
Oui.
Ah, nous cause franc. Ou un petit américain?
I'm half and half.
Half.
Yes.
Mais d'abord, c'est un world comme ça, hein?
But of course, Muslim. What you ici?
Oui.
Victoria Hospital.
Oui.
Yes, and basically born and raised here. I spent maybe like 4 years in America as a child. Then I came back here with my mom. We've lived there my whole life. My great-grandmother was the owner of Fisherman's Cove when it was still the beach hotel, when it was the first hotel. So that's home.
Ah bon? So, dans Belhomme, là, où la doit grandir, comme c'est causé. On a beaucoup de développement qui arrive dans Belhomme.
Yes.
Changement?
A lot, but what's also saddened me is things that have gone with the recent flooding in Belhomme in the north. It really did suffer. And I've seen the rise and fall of so many things in there. The Corsair, when it was still up, I remember when that came down. But yeah, Belhomme's been through, a little bit here and there.
C'est l'événement, pas trop. Et où passion il là, à cause 2023, pourquoi on a plus pour exhiber tout bon travail, mais avant, pas nécessairement exhiber tout bon travail.
Actually, it started in 2022.
Okay.
That was my first exhibition, and it was the first Festival Créole.
Oui.
There was the first art exhibition for that year, and then they did the second year in 2023. Lavion, the one behind you, is actually my first actual exhibition. That is my first exhibition piece.
Et mon voix quand la femme de tout son splendeur, nous nous dit, au papier pour montrer tété, son lance, son tout ça qu'on a pour faire est femme. Peut-être à cause ça bon morceau qui décrit femme. Pas nous dit the curvilicious beaucoup pas trop beaucoup qui maigre, il y en a un là-bas moi il y a un petit peu maigre, mais c'est moi la majorité il y a une femme qui est un petit peu plein pareil nous dit.
First off, moi je dire femme est jolie.
Oui.
If you've seen, like, when you see women are gorgeous. And I always get asked this question of why women. So as they say, to clear the air.
Oui.
I was raised in a very matriarchal family.
Okay.
Just my aunts, my grandmother, my
beaucoup femmes
so many. So many.
Et ben femme vraiment fort ça hein.
Yes, and artistic. And I grew up seeing my cousins do their art, a lot of female influence. And as I got older, I was just like, it's so fun to draw. Like you said, it's curvilicious. There's so many things happening with it, so many changes that the female body goes through from a young age until, old age. And I just, why not show that? It's a body at the end of the day.
Oui.
There's nothing like, oh my, everyone's seen a woman's body.
Ça veut dire pour vous, madame, pas de vrai pour montrer son corps, pour célébrer son corps.
Not at all. I went through, I think, the phase that every young woman goes through where you feel uncomfortable in your changing body, when you start putting on weight. Like, if my younger self could see me now, she would not think she was fat then. Okay. She would not. And, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You've got to realize at the end of the day, it's your body.
Oui.
You're the one that looks at it in the mirror the most. You're the one that washes it, you dress it, you do everything with it. So you've got to be comfortable with the skin that you're in.
Oui.
And I want young girls to understand that, whether we merge that with, sexuality and
Oui.
owning it and, moi femme. At the end of the day, I'm capable of so many things, and I just want that to be shown throughout my work. Celebrate whatever you believe in, what God has given you.
Et Simon, nous faisons sa conversation dans le passé, beaucoup de fois, on a demandé une question basée sur la sexualité à cause de sa qualité style, portrait qui ou fait. Mais par contre, il y a des artistes hommes qui les ont peine femme tournie, ou fait portrait femme tournie, ils n'ont pas nécessairement demandé aucune question. So un petit peu là qui m'a première fois où j'ai demandé sa question, la sexualité basée sur sa copine, qui m'a dit, Amina, tu peux vraiment offenser.
Mon pas forcé. I was more irritated. I was very irritated by the fact that that this would be the question that you ask me, where you've said that men don't necessarily get that question, and there's a lot of guys out here that do use the female form in a variety of ways, whether it's naked or not, but they never get asked those questions of their sexuality. It doesn't offend me. Like I said, it makes me angry because that's not the point of my work. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what I am or
Oui.
what I like. It's just art. It's art. That's it. I don't know how often I have to stress it enough. I come from a matriarchal family. That is the main influence. It has nothing to do with my sexuality, and more like my personal body's liberation. That's what it normally is. So, for those of you listening, please stop asking.
Pour ça, qui là derrière, par exemple, dis-moi, aux premières participations du Festival Créole, of course, il y a beaucoup l'importance pour ça, un morceau, peut-être un petit peu là, l'inspiration, et à cause, on choisit ça pour mettre dans premier compétition Créole. Est-ce que c'est une compétition ou c'est l'exhibition?
It was both. It was
Okay.
the first People's Choice.
Okay.
So back then they actually just did a People's Choice and that was it.
Okay.
The theme for that year's exhibition was Likilu Identité Créole.
Oui.
And so each artist was given a word by the curator, Karen Zialo.
Oui.
She's actually the one that told me to get off my butt and actually do something because she's like, you have it, do it. Just, put yourself out there. I got the word catcalling,
Okay.
which I found out is soufflé, Timon,
Oui.
if I remember correctly.
Soufflé femme.
Soufflé femme.
Oui.
And some people would be like, that's a bit offensive. That's not just sexual culture, but it is. It is.
Oui.
It's everywhere. It's
Oui.
not just here, but it's a big thing here. And I've grown up going through that. Up until this piece was released, I'm still getting catcalled till today.
Oui.
But some people don't realize how irritating and how serious it can be. And I thought, what a perfect piece to do to hopefully open some eyes to some people.
Oui.
And they can actually realize how women feel. And
Pour ban qui peut imaginer qui c'est ça catcalling, là nous. Là voilà. Mon cas Simon beaucoup nous déjà ben monsieur il y en a beaucoup qui déjà fait il y a aussi ban qui nous attendait tout ça là là aussi hier mon cas c'était plus catcalling ils sont pareil nous fait avec nous ça on est dans la coupe c'est ça. So, un petit peu ça portrait les mêmes un petit peu il y a des bonnes mots, bonnes paroles qui m'envoient, on écrit le sang un morceau si nous capables.
There's a lot.
Oui.
All of the writing that's on there is writing. They're words that I've heard.
Oui.
Zit satavailo moi. That's one of my favorites. When you're just walking, you're minding your business. Let's see. Pakapab gete.
Oui.
These are things that we hear. Sexy body. I'm trying to look at ones that aren't too offensive right now. We've got is a classic. Whips.
Zoli mamzelle.
Yeah.
Oui. Tout ça là ben différentes options.
And I've also included the ugly side of it, where you also get insulted.
Oui. Sous pas agréé nécessairement avec ça du monde qui peut faire avec vous.
Ou and they don't, and they get mad.
Il y a une fois que ou même quand ils jouent.
Yes.
Ou quand maltraité. Et il y en a ça ben mot ça portrait of course qui démontre un petit peu l'intensité de sa situation. Nous besoin aussi qu'on respecte le procès, ben madame, c'est tout. Si vous n'êtes pas nécessairement intéressés, vous devez accepter que ça madame pas nécessairement intéressé. Ils sont soi. So, nous posons un petit peu plus peut-être l'éducation qu'on gagne dans l'art. Est-ce qu'il y a une self-taught? Est-ce qu'on a l'école? Un petit peu parcours artistique.
A little bit of both.
OK.
Depuis mon zen, I was drawing on all sorts of papers. You give
Oui.
me a test, I'm finishing it, but then I'm drawing all over it.
Pas dit bon aussi le mirail de la cour.
No, actually. You've met my mom.
Yes.
I would never get away with that.
No.
I can only paint the walls, that's it. I draw on myself as
Okay.
well. I constantly just drawing everywhere. And my teacher used to get mad at me, but then she'd be like, you know what, I'll give you an extra piece of paper that you can draw on when you're done. And from there, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep doing this. Whether I'm good at it or not, I'm just gonna keep doing it. I had an art teacher, Martin Kennedy. He was my head teacher when I was still at school. He kept pushing me. I used to fight with him about art too. He'd tell me to do one thing, I'd be like, no, I'm gonna do something else. And it also allowed me to realize, you know, like what I enjoy doing is what matters at the end of the day. When I'm learning, yes, I've got to follow a course, but how do I adapt that course to fit me, who I am? Then when I'd gone for 3 years to America, I took up art history at a local college, which was really interesting. I got to know, you know, from cavemen drawings all the way to present. So I've got that background. I came back and went to the Seychelles Institute of Art and Design.
Yes.
When it was still visual arts. And that kind of, after I was finished there, I studied graphic design, but I felt very drained and like I had lost the passion for my work because unfortunately one of the things that I was told as growing up is I should stop painting these women and try and do more localized landscapes, seascapes, and that wasn't me.
OK.
And so after that, I didn't do anything for a couple of years. I would do, you know, a couple little drawings here and there, digitally. But then, like I said, Karen Zialo, she was like, you need to get up, you need to do something, and stop wasting away.
Wasted potential.
Yes.
Et ou non, le Instagram, côté beaucoup qui suivent là. Pareil, il y en a des gens qui disent là, il y en a beaucoup qui disent là, n'a pas la là-dedans, ou perception.
I've got my opinions on that.
Oui.
It depends on what type of art you're doing.
Il y en a des gens qui disent ah, tu sais.
Yes, that too.
Oui.
Maybe this will offend people. I think I'm going to say something a little controversial right
Okay.
now. I think that people who probably don't do anything themselves in terms of not just art, but like baking, jewelry making, woodworking, even I'll go as far as to say like changing a tire or changing a light bulb, don't understand the process
Oui.
that it takes to do something, especially with your hands, and how much work goes into it. And so when people aren't doing those type of things, they don't see that value.
Yeah.
They would rather go online and, oh, I see this print, I'm going to buy it, bop, done, finished, to make their house look pretty. But there's a whole process that went into creating something
Oui.
that you enjoy, from the cakes that you buy to the paintings you put in your house, the music you listen to. All of this has a process, and a lot of people put their heart and soul into it, and you're taking a piece of that with you.
Yeah.
So you've got to realize, like, yeah, okay, the price tag is high, but are you shopping within your budget?
OK.
Or are you just, you know, chatting some smack about something you don't quite understand?
Qui amène moi la créativité. Là où de ça l'étape de ça les monde ou d'entrer et ou puis elle commence peine obviously au canvas devant ou yo covid peut-être un petit peu l'émotion qui entrée là dedans comme un artiste avant là ou prend sa premier stroke le canvas stress ben non ou ça y est
Yeah.
ben on dit ils sont confortables ils sont relax ils whatever à cause du stress.
I have it in my mind.
Eh.
I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Oui.
And then I'm like, what if it doesn't work out?
Ça fait moi, 2-3 semaines passées, dans mon esprit, moi, j'ai une jolie vision pour mon l'assemblée. Mais après, les mots qui commencent à peine à l'assemblée, mon remarqué qu'il partit ça, c'est pas facile. Pareil, moi, j'ai envie. But back to you, stress, mais après, là, OK, avant là, nous commençons nos stress. Mais là, nous commençons à peine un petit peu nos tableaux. Qui arrive là?
Then I go crazy.
Ah.
I get wild. Now,
Okay.
now the confidence, like, I am a firm believer in fake it till you make it.
OK.
It really does help, especially with painting. The first thing I put down is my sketch. I know that, this is how much space we're going to take up on the canvas.
Il y a toute la calculation qui arrive là-dedans.
Yes.
OK.
Oh, and I put together my canvases myself. That's another stress as well.
Ah, ploy sa la toile, lo sa,
Yep.
OK.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it. And once I've done like my preliminary sketch, then I'm not happy with it because maybe, it's not quite centered.
Oui.
Fatigue-moi.
Oui.
Then I hit it with the background. Then I go crazy.
OK.
And then I'm like, oh, let's add this. Oh, let's add that.
Mais quand il est là, il est OK, bien assez présent. Il finit, il paraît. Sa madame, il paraît présent là. On nous montre lui. Est-ce que vous êtes satisfait avec un urban painting là, au fini?
Yes. Yeah.
Ou connaît un rapport quand on dit OK, assez fini présent?
Yeah, there is. Eventually, that was something I had to learn when I was younger. I ruined a lot of paintings by just, constantly thinking they're not done, I'm not finished.
Oui.
Let's add this, and then, there is a point. There will become a point where you see that your vision has materialized, and you're like, honestly, she's perfect.
Quand on gagne un bon modèle?
Ooh, a lot of them are in my mind. They're not actual people. Some of them are my friends.
Oui.
But when you're looking at like more of the chunky, they don't look quite real, but they're still relatable. Those are all out of my head. A lot of people ask me, they're like, who is it? Who is it? Who's this one? Who's that one? Is it you? Is it her? Is it who? And I'm like, it's all in here. It's just all in here. That's it. It's just influence from everything that we see. In social media, the people that we surround ourselves with, our family, all of that, it comes together to form these images, and I'm just like, let's put that out there.
Et il y a beaucoup de fois qu'on dit que l'artiste aussi a son rôle et responsabilité dans nos sociétés pour éduquer nos peuples. Et voilà qu'on a la fameuse et scandalous, to a certain extent, morceau, voilà, sans un qui l'a.
Yeah.
Un petit peu le sign qui nous peut regarder.
Bout de la Viande is my baby. She was
Bout de
my
la Viande
first
baby,
one.
oui.
This is my love. I enjoyed her so much.
Okay.
Her name is Linsali La Ventre Famille.
Oui.
Which is, when you take that phrase in itself, it can be very limited. We're blaming one person. But I just want to say disclaimer, when I'm talking about sa famille, I mean the community.
Okay.
The country as a whole.
Oui.
Nous peut say halin sale entre nous, and it's not working for anyone. The theme for this year's Festival Creole was Portrait, Vivant Creole.
Oui.
Portrait, which I found out was a lot of confusion for some people, means portraiture. So faces, things like that, but it's not necessarily limited to face. As long as you've got a face somewhere, you've done a portrait, you're done. So I was like, perfect. I hate drawing faces. I don't like putting faces to my bodies. But I was like, we'll do it.
C'est quelque chose qui m'a remarqué, hein?
Yes. It's, I don't know, like.
Inclusivity?
Yes, you can see yourself in all the women, but also when you take a look at the male gaze, do they really care about this? Or are they just looking at that?
Yeah.
Something to think about. So with.
OK. Point pour noter. Est-ce que nous vraiment get figure ou sinon nous get 10 en bas? Question. All right. Lola, Linsali La Ventre Famille.
She's talking about teenage pregnancy.
Oui.
It's prevalent in our society. It's gotten out of control.
Oui.
And there's a lot of the blame game going around of who's responsible. A lot of the writing, she's one that's included a lot of writing because, like I said, it's a very important topic. Taking statistics, for example, Seychelles sees a 35% increase in teen births in 2023, and that was in the middle of the year. So far was only, I mean, come on, there's a conversation to be had here.
Yeah.
She also takes a look at all the different aspects that fall into this. How the family plays a role into teenage pregnancy, education, health, all of this. I've heard stories of multiple women complaining about not being treated like human beings. Now, everyone wants to say our primary suspect for blame is the teenagers. And maybe if you've had the talk with your kids and you've explained to them in full detail and it still happens, maybe you want to blame them because you've done everything that you could. Fair enough. But when you look at everything as a whole, I've gone to school here. I've been in public and private school. I've gotten both ends of the spectrum. And sexual education, excuse me, sucks on both sides. It's no better regardless of if you're paying for it or not. There's a lot of questions that teenagers have that is basic knowledge that they go into their adulthood thinking are true or false. And I mean, that plays a big role in teen pregnancy. No one wants to have that conversation with children about sex.
Là, nous regarder, pas diamant ou bandalo qui n'arrive, what happens at home stays at home, piti peut faire piti, ou trop pitin, oli papa sa piti, nous on a aussi, who will know, envoyez-moi un portrait, moi quand on peut cause aux réseaux sociales, là, quelque chose aussi qui nous a beaucoup, les enfants sont victimes, réseaux sociales, quand on peut envoyer un portrait nude, et voilà, quand il arrive encore un scénario que vous avez besoin de vivre avec que vous portez puis si qu'il est le réseau social laisse-les vivre which one
That's my favorite.
oui peut-être un petit peu là
Laisse-les vivre, it's basically talking about people that are against abortion because once again teen pregnancy it's not one thing. There's so many it's a cobweb. There's so many things that we can attach it to. That we can blame it on, that we can explain it to, things like that. But laisse-les vivre, a lot of people here don't have access to abortions. They're not allowed to have them. There's a board that decides, who is allowed to based on the factors. But are you really going to look at children and tell them to have children? Laisse-les vivre. Which one, the baby or the actual child? That we don't know what the case was as to how they got pregnant in the first place. No one wants to deep dive into that either. They don't want to, as they would say, rattle that bee's hive, they don't want to get into it. They'll take it on face value and be like, this is wrong based on our beliefs, blah, blah, blah. And we've got literally piti pe faire piti.
So si mon peux écouter bien là si arrive un cas peut-être Cécile pour prendre sa décision low abortion, est-ce qu'il y a un qui pro abortion et à cause?
I think that word pro-abortion has very negative aspects to it. What people need to realize, it's not about pro-abortion, it's about pro-choice. It's about allowing women who have the ability to carry children to decide whether or not they are going to do it.
Techniquement, ça veut dire, on peut dire, l'homme n'a pas aucune décision pour prendre ça.
This is where, it depends on what your relationship, I mean, if you've been married for so many years, you have a bunch of kids, you accidentally fall pregnant, and that's a decision to be made between you and your husband or your boyfriend. But when it comes to those one nights kind of thing, I mean, at the end of the day, if the guy didn't want anything to do with you and was done with you, I think that's up to the woman to decide what to do.
Est-ce que vous croyez en globalité, aux qualités là, c'est Céline Paré pour apprécier ou sinon reconnaître aux qualités là qui vous pratiquez?
I don't think it's everyone's cup of tea.
Or coffee.
Or coffee, yes. But frankly, I don't care. I've always heard, my background in work, people aren't ready for this. People aren't, and that could be for anything. Women's rights, LGBTQ rights, human rights. People aren't ready. You're gonna shake the boats. What are they, I don't care. If we're not ready now, when are we ever gonna be ready?
Une conversation pour les filles, nous dit. Of course, pas derrière ou les dos, non, l'autre bout là, sans rien qui là, une mademoiselle qui petit portrait, un selfie par nous dit. Un petit peu là, le sans rien qui là.
This one, her name is What Do You Mean?
Okay.
This was for the exhibition Between the Lines.
Oui. On avait sous cabane un petit peu na voile bien, voilà.
Do we see her?
Oui.
She's cute.
She's very beautiful.
She's a gorgeous girl. Seychelles, of course.
Oui.
And we are taking a look at things that have been said to her.
Oui.
In terms of reading between the lines. My favorite being, you're pretty for a black girl.
Ooh.
What does that mean? What is that supposed to mean? At the end of the day, what are you trying to say with that? Are you sure you're
Écoute,
Seychelles?
écoute cette question de ce statement-là. Hein? Ou zoli point finnois.
What are you trying to say to me?
Oui.
It's actually a conversation she's had multiple times in her life.
Okay.
From people of color as well as white people. It's across the board, and she's shocked for it.
Est-ce que nous sommes capables de dire, to a certain extent, racisme y existe ici, c'est ça, le racisme. À cause, si nous pouvons une conversation comme ça, dans lui-même, lui, là, quand il demande où, il dit où, il peut donner un compliment, il peut insulter ou en même phrase, ou zoli pour finnois.
I think a lot of people have to do a deep dive into themselves personally. I feel like there's a lot of deep-rooted internal racism, hatred, and prejudice for who we are as people.
Oui.
I mean, a topic for another day is the whole "are we African, are we not" kind of conversation. But like for me, my personal experience, I wouldn't say I've experienced racism because I'm white and that's impossible. I've experienced prejudice. I've had a lot of people question my authenticity as a Seychelles.
Oui.
The family that I'm from, which fair enough, all right, history, I'm not that, but I am a Seychelles. I'm a Seychelles. At the end of the day, I'm no different than anyone else. I speak Creole, but when the camera and the microphone's on, I forget every single word, which is good for you because I don't think you want my Creole on set. Then I'd start getting real, and...
Mais c'est mon cas, au cas cause créole.
Oui, mon cas, causer.
Pour nous donner des actions et conversations, un petit nouvelle.
Yes.
Là où pas oublier, mais il y a pour cause créole.
No. But we're not doing that right now. That's not what's happening. That's not what's
Mais
happening.
toute conversation, exactement, pour donner une nouvelle. So, nous oublions caméra, nous oublions. Si tu fais comme ça, tu peux donner une nouvelle avec moi.
Pas capable.
Pas capable, OK.
Non, on fait des stress, moi, là.
Ah, OK, all right. Pas stress, tu n'as pas capable.
But yeah, there's like between the lines, I wanted to showcase something that happens here in Seychelles.
Okay.
The person that is depicted in my painting, she went to private school. She studied in England, but still people are like, you speak really good English. Where are you really from? Like, you're pretty for a black girl. Are you sure you're Seychelles? Can you speak Creole? Your Creole's not too good. Those kind of things. And we say them in jokes and haha, it's funny, but you're slowly chipping away at someone's identity. And that is not the purpose, that's not the point of being Seychelles. We've got multiple identities. When everyone says we're a melting pot, it's not just because it sounds cool, it's because it's true. We've got so many different cultures within us.
Nous causons là, mais là, nous voyons la réalité pour dire qu'il nous est melting pot. Nous sortis la France, l'Angleterre, l'Europe, l'Asie, l'Afrique, l'Amérique, dans tout son splendeur, tout coin du monde, c'est celle, ben, dis-moi, une venue, une atterri sur la terre, et une crée pipe. Mais c'est bon, nous pas encore réaliser et accepter qu'avec sa parole, il y en a sa groupe du monde. OK, intéressante conversation aujourd'hui bon matin. Justement, pas beaucoup de temps pour nous causer, mais vitement, qui les filles pour wasted potentials, qui of course, vous pouvez aller sur Instagram par exemple, dit, mais où comme un artiste qui est là? Est-ce qu'on a une vision comme un artiste? En France, on a une carrière, ou un monde qui travaille à la radio, mais à part de radio, la vie artistique comme un artiste lui-même, quelle vision, mon il y a des gens qui participent de différentes l'exhibition internationale. What next pour?
I'm actually going to be applying for an outside exhibition.
Okay.
And it's for women. It's a whole thing. I'm really excited to get into that and send my application. Hopefully, I get it.
Fingers crossed.
But for me, I've come to a realization. I'm not here to make art that makes you comfortable. I'm not here to make art to put on a postcard so you can sell it and make money off of it and put it on a T-shirt and bap. I'm here to make art to start a conversation.
Okay.
That's what's lacking here in Seychelles. We don't have art that starts important conversations. And if people want to take me seriously or not, that's fine. But I have a voice. I'm going to use it. And I think I'm going to continue with this storyline that's happening over with Linsal.
Ça veut dire nous pouvons beaucoup dans les autres mots créoles qui pas nécessairement faire confortable pour cause de là. Pareil dit là il y a une façon pour commencer la conversation et Simon les salles entre familles, une haine dans l'exhibition qui commence beaucoup. Peut-être un petit peu de réaction, vitement, sans haine, ben, des gens qui viennent visiter salle exhibition, qui peut-être reviews qui ont gagné le morceau.
I think there was a lot of awkwardness at first.
Oui. Je me rappelle, la moitié entrée, premièrement, c'est quand c'était monsieur qui était dans la salle, mais pas beaucoup qui étaient venus premièrement pour regarder, mais après, elles ont les portraits bon, qui motivent, c'est un ministère pour l'éducation, vice-président. Après, si je ne me pas trompé, pour qu'il tire.
Yes,
Oui,
yes.
monsieur David André. Tous les trois, dans sa portrait, peut regarder, mais aussi peut faire une conversation avec camarade là. Peut-être un petit peu, oui, bonne review.
Emmanuel Dauphin was also in that picture.
Oui,
He
Monsieur
loved
Emmanuel
this
Dauphin,
one.
oui.
He was trying to take it from me. I was like, sir, please, relax. But it was exciting. It made me tear up at first, like seeing her out there for everyone to see her for what she is. There was a lot of mixed reactions. The first, as I said, being awkwardness, not quite knowing where to look because, yes, she's nude. Do we know how old she is? I don't know. It's up to you to decide.
Oui.
And then all the writing, and it's just, it looks gory and it's horrifying, but it's true, it's reality. And then people started coming up to me and being like, oh, you know, this girl, her experience was like this, and, you know, this one. And same as what happened with Bout Lavian, people started telling me their stories.
Yeah.
And I realized I really don't care what anyone has to say. I care about the experiences. I want to hear how this has moved you.
Yeah.
Not whether, I don't care about the technique, whatever. I want to know, how do you relate to this? And it's going to break my heart and it's going to sadden me,
Oui.
but it's real and it's reality and I want to feel it.
Mais c'est moi, at the end of the day, par exemple, dit chacun artiste, il y a son qualité technique qui servit. N'a pas art qui mal à cause ou technique qui pas nécessairement capable, technique à l'autre monde. Il y a une évolution ou sinon une transition, une différence de technique chaque bon artiste. Est-ce qu'il y a aucun artiste qui influence ou?
Ooh, if there's any. One that I have loved since I was a kid and will always love till this day is Frida
Oui.
Kahlo. Frida, I remember watching a movie with Salma Hayek. If no one's seen it, you must see it. She played Frida, and it's about Frida's story. She was in a horrible accident. I mean, she was a famous painter. She was married to another famous painter. They cheated on each other. They were wild. It was just the most toxic relationship, but they loved each other. You might remember her by her monobrow. He never wanted her to change how she looked.
Yes.
Keep the monobrow, keep the mustache. I don't care, you're gorgeous, and I want you just the way you are. But she ended up in a terrible tram accident where these pipes ended up piercing her, and she lost the ability to have children. She was in a full body cast for months and could only paint with her teeth at some point. And a lot of her art is her expressing the sadness of losing the ability to have children, of being in the position that she is, and she touched me. It was another woman. I was like, it's heartbreaking, and a lot of her depictions are a bit gory. You see inside, you know, like she depicts inside of her chest, inside of her womb, and yeah, she's one of my biggest influences. Georgia O'Keeffe as well, paints flowers that look a little bit private, if you get what I'm saying.
Oui.
And then there was also, right now I'm forgetting the name, but it's a famous table setting. It's set in a triangle with plates. And each plate is dedicated to a female artist. And it is beautiful. I forget the name right now, but it's also one of my favorite influences of, once again, supporting women and exploring ourselves and taking back what is ours at the end of the day.
Et si nous pouvons décrire Kaela dans son brièvement, lequel Kaela?
Woman.
Ça même tout.
Yeah, that's it. Woman.
Et qui Kaela fait à part art, à part radio? Est-ce qu'il y a les autres passions qui vous content?
I read all the time.
Oui.
I'm always reading. And then some people, I know I have a friend that when she sees this is going to be like, Shush, because she doesn't live here. I play games as well. An adult.
Ouais, gamer.
Yes, I do enjoy
All right.
it.
Et du monde qui compte en lit, et du monde qui compte en peine, et gamer. So, on est capable de dire tout ça, un petit peu nerdy, un petit peu geeky.
Yes, I am.
Yes. All right. What is your favorite movie?
Oh, my Lord, favorite movie? This
Ah, que tu comptes regarder film aussi, tout.
I do? Oh.
La question.
And I have so many.
Non. Nous pas rentrer là, avait dit.
I did have one. I did say that I had one, and now I can't remember it.
Mais si nous parlons d'un livre, lequel vous favorite author?
Ooh,
Ou écrivain?
author? I wouldn't say author, but my favorite books are the Harry Potter books.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think, fantastic. as they would say.
Fantastic.
Yes, scholastic.
Fantastique. Et le côté film, nous pas encore imaginer même.
I'm going to shoot myself in the face afterwards. Just for the laughs and how insane it is, Twilight. The girls who get it, they'll get it.
Kaela, c'est plaisir pour inviter aujourd'hui bon matin avec nous. Merci pour venir. Any words of wisdom, advice pour madame. Nous le traîner nouveau l'année 2024. Nous les inspire Cécélois, ou sinon, au cas mon présumé pour envie inspire femme Cécélois. Advice pour bonne madame Cécélois qui peut écouter nous aujourd'hui bon matin. Ou sinon, rising artist, bonne jeune fille, qui peut être par on dit, tout le monde peut dire peine pied coco, peine lamé, peine pied bois, peine poisson, mais pas envie nécessairement peine salée.
Exactly. Something important that I can say is take back your power, take back your voice, find who you are, even if it will take a hot minute. It's not going to happen today, but find who you are and stick to it. No one can take it from you. You have the ability to be who you want to be unapologetically. Anything that you have been shamed for, baby, take it back. Be girly, be masculine, be whatever you want to be. Spend money, don't spend money. Enjoy yourself and live life.
Voilà. Merci beaucoup pour venir aujourd'hui bon matin.
Thank you for having
me. Je crois qu'elle a dit de tout son splendeur, il summarize tout ça là pour nous. So, pour sa femme Cécélois, écoute ça les sons écoute ça advice qui est là dans nous et moi si moi me connais on va passer l'année 2024 très facile dans liberté pour inspirer pour célébrer ou comment est femme et tout dans tout splendeur qui a été et le sanote mesdames et messieurs ça c'était le Topik conversation pour aujourd'hui bon matin.